don't know my son, and he hit him over the head with like a can or a beer can or a bottle or something. So in order for me not to go to fucking jail, I gotta talk to his coach.
Raja Jackson pummeling a defenseless wrestler inside the ring.
Rampage Jackson just stunned the world with a blunt confession about his son Raja Jackson. Raja snapped at a wrestling event, slamming Stewart Psycho Stu Smith unconscious and hammering him with 22 punches live on Kick. The fighting world exploded, branding it attempted murder, splitting between calls for prison and rehab.
Dog messed up. And if it's Rampage, I love Rampage. But Rampage, turn your son in. He got to go lay down for a little bit. Like, if it was my son, that's what I would tell him. I mean, you a grown man, bro.
Raja Jackson managed to pull off one of the dumbest and most reckless things I've ever seen streamed live. This dude basically turned a small-town wrestling event in Los Angeles into a live attempted murder trial for Twitch chat to spectate. Imagine going to watch some indie wrestling show expecting goofy stunts and a couple of suplexes, and instead you witness a so-called fighter slam a man unconscious and then pound his skull in with over 20 punches like he's playing a broken video game controller. The victim here, Stewart Psycho Stu Smith, wasn't just beaten, he was literally out cold while Raja kept swinging like he was trying to speedrun a felony record.
Zero excuses for Raja. What he did was reprehensible, it shouldn't be tolerated, and I think he will go to the penitentiary at least for a while.
Now here's the crazy part. The referee did absolutely nothing. Literally, the ref might as well have been eating popcorn in the corner because he just stood there. The only person who had enough sense to step in wasn't security, wasn't an official, wasn't even Rampage himself. Nope, it was some random pink-haired guy. That's right, the only hero of the night was a pink-haired bystander who had the guts to jump into the chaos while everyone else froze. I can't even roast that guy because he's the only one who acted like a human being in this entire disaster.
By nature, my initial thought was when I heard about this, and I spoke with Rampage, when I heard about this, I went, all right, how can I defend Raja?
Meanwhile, Smith is lying there like a rag doll, completely unconscious. Reports later confirmed the guy was out for a full 6 minutes. 6 minutes! Do you know how insane that is? That's not a nap, that's not getting stunned, that's your brain shutting down like a Windows XP system after a blue screen. And it gets worse. There were even reports that Smith flatlined for a moment before being stabilized in the hospital. And somehow Raja thought it was a good idea to keep punching him during those 6 minutes of lights out. Who does that? Who looks at a man who is completely limp and thinks, yeah, I should keep throwing bombs here, this seems fair? That's not fighting, that's literally a crime being committed live on Kick for internet clout.
Motherfuckers playing with me, bro. Real shit. One of them little bitch and fucking bit me. I'm tired of everybody fucking playing with me and shit. Think I'm always playing and shit.
And speaking of Kick, let's not forget this clown show was live streamed. Raja is scrolling through his chat, reading random degenerates calling him soft, a pushover, saying he ain't real if he doesn't fight back. And instead of being smart, instead of ignoring the peanut gallery, Raja lets them get in his head. He takes advice from anonymous trolls like they're his coaches. Imagine being 25 years old, son of a famous MMA legend, and still letting user 2234 in your chat control your emotions. It's pathetic. He literally snapped because the internet called him soft. Congratulations, Raja, you're now the world's most insecure streamer with felony charges waiting on the other side.
Get it, bring that sparring partner back, tornado kick him again. Dumb animal. Brother, dumb animal, put him in a cage, straight up. Raja should have got fucking knocked out cold in that ring. No one was doing anything about it but that.
But let's back it up for a second because none of this madness even makes sense without the initial spark. Backstage before all this chaos, wrestler Psycho Stu smashes a beer can over Raja's head. Now, this wasn't planned, wasn't coordinated, nobody told Raja it was coming. And you know what? I'll be fair here, that was a dumb move from Psycho Stu. But in wrestling, sometimes dumb stuff happens.
And he takes a beer can and smashes it on Raja's head. Let's check this out.
Oh, me? Hell no. Yeah.
Hey, hey, I think that's a...
Oh, you don't easy. He's not a fucking worker, bro.
Guys smash chairs, guys blade themselves, sometimes they hit a little too hard. But instead of brushing it off, Raja stands there looking like a confused toddler, muttering, "What was that?" Like he genuinely didn't know if it was a stunt or a sneak attack. And right there, he had a choice. He could have walked away, could have shrugged it off, but instead he let his ego start cooking. And the audience online? They smelled blood. Chat immediately starts mocking him, calling him soft, calling him a pushover, saying he doesn't have the balls to stand up for himself.
All right, follow me real quick. When I first saw this, I thought these guys were playing. You know, WWE hardcore match.
Oh, look at this. Mox has him up. Oh! Disqualification, but please.
After doing my research, this was definitely real.
And Raja being Raja, he can't handle it. He already had a concussion from sparring just a few days before, so his brain was already scrambled eggs. Add on top of that the grief of losing his mom, and you've got a dude walking around like a ticking time bomb with no emotional breaks. It's honestly a miracle he didn't snap earlier. But here's where it gets truly ridiculous. Other wrestlers backstage literally told him to get his receipt. They told him he could go in the ring and hit for real. Who the hell tells an unstable MMA fighter with anger issues that he's allowed to hit for real? That's like handing a loaded gun to someone who's already twitching. They basically gave Raja permission to unleash his rage, and he took it as a green light to go full Mortal Kombat.
You know what I'm saying? That, you know, I'm just a father, but it's a lot of like ignorant people on the internet. I understand that. You know, it is what it is. Shit don't affect me, don't bother me, but people like MMA Guru, you know what I'm saying? That guy is supposed to be.
So when Raja finally steps into the ring, it's not about wrestling anymore. It's not about entertainment. This dude wasn't selling moves, he wasn't working a crowd, he went in there like a man possessed. First thing he does, he picks up Psycho Stu and slams him with enough force to knock him unconscious instantly. That slam alone should have been the end, but of course Raja doesn't stop there. Oh no, he decides to turn this into his own personal execution highlight reel. While Stu is lying there motionless, Raja starts raining down 22 punches. Not 2 punches, not 5 punches, not even 10. 22 shots, all on a man who was already unconscious. That's not a fight, that's an attempted murder audition tape.
At the end of the day, I hope the wrestler that was hit and pummeled is okay. And for Raja, your actions were out of line, so you're gonna have to deal with some big boy consequences for this one. All of us can learn a little something from this. Don't let small situations escalate into bigger situations that will ultimately cost you big consequences.
And you know what's really infuriating? Raja kept going like he was proving something. What exactly are you proving when you're hitting a guy who can't defend himself? That you're strong? That you're a beast? No. What you're proving is that you're an insecure, out-of-control man-child who doesn't understand the difference between winning a fight and committing a crime. Even witnesses said it looked like he was trying to kill the guy. Not fight him, kill him. You don't throw that many unanswered bombs unless your goal is to end someone permanently. The aftermath was absolute chaos. Blood in the ring, people screaming, Smith's body looking lifeless while others scrambled to get help. The one saving grace? Smith survived. Barely. His friend later confirmed he was awake but in bad shape, and that recovery would take a long time. A long road to recovery, all because Raja couldn't handle being clowned by a chat room and a cheap beer can shot. Let me put this in perspective. Raja Jackson had every possible advantage. He's the son of Rampage Jackson, an MMA legend. He's got access to training, coaches, resources, lawyers, you name it. And yet here he is, acting like a street thug in a wrestling ring, throwing away his life for the approval of internet trolls. While his opponent, Stuart Smith, who was just trying to entertain a crowd, ended up unconscious for 6 minutes and lucky to be alive.
I know if I say something like somebody offend me or wrong me or risk me off or do something, and I say, hey bro, that ain't right, you did this, blah, blah, and then they kind of like snap back on me, I don't know what I do. I just, next thing you know, I'm choking this motherfucker, beating him up. So I'm like, now I'm a pushover. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
I think if you think that's being a pushover, that's why a lot of people go to jail for no reason.
Exactly.
And what makes this whole thing even more pathetic is that Raja wasn't in a sanctioned fight. This wasn't the UFC, this wasn't Bellator, this wasn't even some regional MMA card. This was a small wrestling show in LA, a staged event, an entertainment gig. and Raja treated it like life or death combat because his ego couldn't take a beer can to the head. He turned what should have been a goofy moment into a criminal investigation, and he did it live in front of thousands of viewers.
He didn't do anything because I told Roger not to get punched, but still nigga hit my son over the head. And then he asked my son, you ain't gonna sell it when you in pro wrestling?
The whole thing screams immaturity, insecurity, and pure recklessness. 25 years old and this is how you handle yourself? By snapping on a defenseless man? By ignoring the ref, ignoring the fans, ignoring common sense, and turning into a wannabe executioner on a live stream? It's pathetic. Rampage Jackson finally spoke out about this mess, and honestly, what he said tells you everything you need to know. On stream, Rampage admitted he told Raja not to retaliate, which to be fair, was good advice. The problem is Raja clearly didn't listen, because instead of showing restraint, he went full, let me ruin my entire life for the chat's amusement.
He raised his son in a similar way, some of his ways from being out there in Memphis, and now his son has anger issues that are not being properly dealt with.
But here's where it gets wild. Rampage himself admitted that he struggles with the same problem. He literally said, if someone disrespects me, I don't know if I'll choke them or let it go. That's not exactly the quote you want hanging over your family when your son is out here treating a wrestling ring like a crime scene.
And he has to stay reserved because he knows if he puts his hands on the guy, he could easily just take his life without much of a thought. So that's why he feels like a pushover, because he can't do what he wants to do or what he would have done back in the day in Memphis.
Then came the bombshell. When people asked Rampage if he was going to step in and save Raja from the fallout, Rampage basically threw his hands in the air and said, I can't help him. Imagine being so done with your own kid's stupidity that you publicly declare there's nothing you can do. That's not just disappointment, that's resignation. That's the vibe of a father who's looked at the evidence, watched the footage, and realized his son is beyond saving. And honestly, I don't blame him. Rampage even admitted he was afraid of going to jail himself if he had stepped in. Think about that. Rampage Jackson, a guy who's fought some of the baddest men in MMA history, didn't even trust himself not to snap if he got involved. Instead, he told Raja's coach to handle it, because at least the coach might not end up in handcuffs. That's how chaotic this whole thing was. Even Rampage was scared he'd end up on the wrong side of the law just trying to rein in his kid.
Irrefutable evidence known as a video that an assault happened, and the police have not taken any action.
Matt Brown also unloaded, saying if Raja wasn't Rampage's son, nobody would show him any sympathy. And he's right. If some random fighter pulled this stunt, the only headline would be, felon arrested. But because he's Rampage's kid, there's this awkward cloud of people trying not to completely torch him. Brown wasn't having it. He called it what it was, felony aggravated assault, maybe even attempted murder. And with over 20 unanswered punches, you can't really argue with that. Kevin Lee came in swinging too. He stressed that Raja snuck Smith while he was in character, which makes it even worse. This wasn't some spontaneous scrap. Smith was literally performing, doing his job, and Raja blindsided him. Lee confirmed the reports that Smith was out for 6 minutes and said Raja needs to go lay down in prison. Pack a toothbrush because you're going to be there a while. Ryan Garcia took a different angle, blaming streaming culture, and honestly, he's got a point. These live stream platforms have turned people into clout-chasing lunatics. Raja wasn't fighting for pride, he was fighting for emojis in the chat. Garcia basically said streaming is making people irrational because they're more worried about entertaining viewers than making smart decisions. And Raja is the perfect example. He didn't want to look soft online, so he tried to look tough and ended up looking like a future inmate instead. Derek Brunson chimed in too, keeping it short and sharp, careless and uncalled for. And he's right. There's really no better way to describe it. Nothing about what Raja did was calculated or strategic. It was just raw emotion, carelessness, and stupidity rolled into one. Ben Askren pointed out the most chilling detail, the 22 punches. He said if Raja hadn't been stopped, he probably would have kept going. And that's the part that really makes this look like attempted murder. It wasn't just one moment of losing control. It was sustained, calculated violence. 22 unanswered punches while a man lay unconscious is not a mistake. That's a choice, and it's the kind of choice that ruins lives. Sean Strickland, of all people, tried to be the voice of reason. He broke from the crowd and argued for rehabilitation instead of prison. He said jail makes people worse and shared his own story of almost getting locked up at 19. According to Strickland, if he'd gone to prison back then, he probably would have come out worse, maybe even a killer. And while I get where he's coming from, let's be real. This isn't a kid who stole a candy bar or got into a dumb bar fight. Raja nearly killed a man in front of a live audience. Rehabilitation sounds nice, but you can't rehab someone who thinks pounding on an unconscious body is a good idea. Brendan Schaub tried to defend Raja at first because of his friendship with Rampage, but after watching the footage, even he gave up. He literally said, "I got nothing." When your friends can't even defend you, that's when you know you've screwed up beyond repair. Schaub warned that charges like attempted murder or aggravated assault are very real possibilities. And honestly, after watching that footage, it's hard to see how Raja avoids them.
12, 13, like what the I can't even watch this. The kid's blacked out. The kid's blacked out, and I think his goal right there was to murder. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Myron Gaines was blunt. Raja's arrest is inevitable. He said get a lawyer, get off camera, and shut up. Probably the best advice anyone has given Raja in weeks. But knowing Raja's track record, he'll probably ignore it, keep streaming, and dig himself an even deeper hole. And then there was influencer HS TikToky who went nuclear. He straight up called it attempted murder, mocked Raja's skills, and even challenged him to fight someone who could actually fight back. That's how low Raja's stock has dropped. Internet influencers are now clowning him for being weak. Imagine being Rampage's son and getting roasted online by TikTok creators. Brutal. So what's next? Well, the police apparently have clear video evidence of the assault. They're just waiting on Stuart Smith to give an official statement before making a move. And that's where Raja's entire future hangs in the balance. If Smith presses charges, we're talking attempted murder or aggravated assault. That means years behind bars, not months. If Smith decides to forgive him and not press charges, Raja avoids prison, but his reputation is torched forever. The internet doesn't forget, and Raja will always be the guy who almost killed a wrestler on stream. Meanwhile, Rampage is stuck in the worst position imaginable. He's a father who loves his son, but even he admits he can't save him from this. He's taking racist abuse online, he's dealing with death threats, and at the end of the day, he's watching his son spiral out of control while the world waits to see if justice is going to hit harder than any punch Raja has ever thrown. And that's where we're at, an uncertain future for Raja Jackson. Will he end up in prison? Will he get some miracle rehab deal? Or will he just be branded for life as the reckless kid who nearly killed a wrestler on Kick? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this story is only getting crazier and you won't want to miss what comes next.